Hello, I am DC. I am a streamer, and I am the captain of YGG Elite. I streamed Axie Infinity for months, and then during that time, I don't really have the resources to actually play competitively. But deep inside me, I told myself that I could play very competitively.
Hi, I'm Reina, known as El Momo, and I'm part of YGG Elite. Within my first week as a scholar, I actually hit like 2.2k. I actually picked the game up pretty quickly, and that's when I knew that this was one of the game that I actually liked.
Itachi T here, Axie Pro player and part of YGG Elite. I'm good with arithmetic, like I can do this addition, subtraction in my mind, and with Axie Infinity, that goes a lot with planning as well with the damage calculations and all.
I'm Nico, also known as Indar, part of YGG Elite. For now, I cannot say that I'm a successful player as the others, but all I can say is that I'm gonna try my best to be one of the successful esports player.
All right. What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon and GE to everyone all over the world. So we like to say, GX. So from wherever you are, guys, GX, and we are back. And tonight we are here with the one and only Ben Lee from Blowfish Studios, the guys behind Phantom Galaxies. But first, it's been a while. Sarutobi, my partner in crime. How's it going, man? I missed you, man. I missed you.
Really well. I've missed these AMAs. I've missed our amazing guests. I've missed the kind of bouncing off the chemistry that we get with the teams. So it's great to be back on the show and with what a game as well. Get a game that I think we've all been really excited to have on the show. One that I've definitely been pushing for. So yeah, it's great to have you guys on the show from Phantom Galaxies today. We have one of the masterminds behind Phantom Galaxies. Please do us the honor of introducing yourself.
Hey, Sarutobi and SEDANO. Really good to be here. My name's Ben, co-founder and managing director of Blowfish, but also project founder of Phantom Galaxies. And you've probably seen
Nice.
me hanging out on the Discord over the last, I don't know now, it's like nearly 8-9 months now. So but yeah, it's exciting times. I'm really glad to be here.
I mean, definitely, man. It's been a while, so we've been actually eyeing to get, an AMA this time around with the YGG community. Because the last time we had an AMA over at you guys' Discord, with Luke and the team and the family, and it's very exciting now that we are actually going to be starting to do video AMAs. So for the past, it's all been introduction to these games, what the plans are for the next 3 to 5 years. But, having projects like Phantom Galaxies and actually being able to show the community what these games look like and what we can expect in the future, it's definitely next level. We are getting closer to all the full releases of these upcoming games within the YGG portfolio, and Phantom Galaxies, like, definitely, I personally, and I'm sure Sarutobi, you share the same sentiments, is that this game is definitely one to watch out for, and we definitely love the game.
I mean, obviously, we've been able to be playing the project just like SEDANO has mentioned, but obviously for those that maybe I doubt that there are any, but for those listening, could you give us the elevator pitch for Phantom Galaxies?
Yeah. No, for those people that haven't seen it, Phantom Galaxies is about the biggest badass mechs on the blockchain. Being the number one blockchain game in the world. But Phantom Galaxies is also a truly unique game in the traditional gaming scene as well. So what we're going to have here is a game that one is not, it's not out there for traditional gamers and for blockchain gamers. So we're going to have everybody wanting to play the game just because it does not exist right now. So it's that combination of multiplayer online where you get running around and you get to pilot essentially transforming robot mechas through space and on planets, and You get to live out your power fantasies back from, I was a big fan growing up of the, Robotech and Transformers from the early, initial first gen kind of versions of those. And yeah, I just always wanted to make a game in that space. And that's kind of, that's how Phantom Galaxies was born.
Awesome. I mean, from the aesthetic itself, I mean, you can see it on screen for everyone watching across the board. So we're live on Twitter, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But if you guys would want to join the live discussion right now, so we are on the YGG Discord. That's discord.gg/YGG. And we're right here at the AMA discussion, voice, and also text channel. So make sure to prepare your questions that we are going to be asking the community like later on. But yeah, before we get to that, so Ben, like I'm pretty curious now. So what actually made you guys, come together and say that this is the project that we want to build? Like would love to hear about, your background in gaming, maybe some interests, like, like what affinity we have, like Sarutobi and I, for space shooters and whatnot.
Yeah, no, of course. Blowfish has been around for, we've been back from 2010, and we had some, we made a really cool, our first successful game, Siegecraft, was in like the medieval fantasy environment, and with my co-founder, we were really excited to kind of, we had the vision of Blizzard had done things really well, and so essentially we always wanted a sci-fi component. So Blizzard had their Warcraft, and they had Starcraft, and we wanted our Starcraft, and we tried that before, but hadn't been as successful as Siegecraft, and so Phantom Galaxies was that opportunity where just had that. It was just that time. We'd published a couple of, or another kind of like mecha fighting game earlier. We saw that it was still a very underserved market, just again from the traditional gaming space. So it's something that it just a product, a game we'd always wanted to make, and also it just proved that it was the right time to do it. And we started that. It was over 3 years ago, right? So the game's been in development for over 3 years now, and that's why what you see there and what you're able to play right now is it's a fully fledged game in there. We
Definitely.
are expanding it immensely from what it was. It's the scope of the game has definitely changed over the last year now into a massive game. It's huge. Really making use of blockchain and NFTs, and that's where really embracing the whole generative PFP aspect. So our avatars and starfighters are going to be kind of come from that generative aspect as well, and that's where we're going. But you can see as you play the alpha that it's kind of rooted in that kind of traditional gaming space, and that's why it's so enjoyable to play. Right, you get in there and people, and that's the best kind of feedback that we get. It's just people actually really enjoying it and having fun playing it.
Absolutely. I think the enjoyment factor is what really makes it. Like that feeling of when the mech just does its transformation, and then you're just flying through space, and then you switch to like, the rifle, you let off a few shots, you switch back, send off a few torpedoes, and then zoom away. It's pretty incredible, that aspect of the game. Obviously, I for one am really excited to see when the kind of multiplayer component comes through. When do you think we might expect the kind of multiplayer aspects to start kind of becoming available?
Yeah, I mean, so initially, we've got there's different features of multiplayer. So in this kind of game, you've got PVE. So a lot of the missions where you're playing against the environment, you're starting off. You've got a lot of like single player ones, but you've cooperative. So when we say multiplayer, there's cooperative multiplayer, and that's where you're going in with friends and you're completing missions together. Which that's really big, and that part will actually come first once we get into the open beta. And then after that, then you've got the actual the PvP multiplayer. And initially, that PvP will be kind of like one-on-one, kind of arena based. But then that leads into then the third phase, which is the whole like large scale guild warfare, where
Nice.
there's much bigger battles going on there. Initially, I mean, it's kind of like a stage before. That's when you're going into the lobby, or you're going to Harvard, and you're kind of that social aspect where you're all there and you kind of get to see other players and run around on the space station before you jump into the mission. So I mean that is actual, that's the first multiplayer aspect that you're going to encounter, and we'll have that for the open beta launch. But the other ones then there's other phases as well after that.
Sounds good. I mean, like for me, sorry, were you gonna say something? Sorry, Toby, sorry for cutting you off there.
No, I was just glad, just excited to see that side of things emerge.
Yeah, I mean, just a follow up on that, Ben. So, I mean, I'm pretty curious. So, how does it work, like the MMO aspect of it? Like, are we expecting, a few instances happening at the same time, or is it gonna be, just one huge instance where a lot of people could be hopping on like all together?
Yeah, I mean it's more aimed at how uh like kind of I guess Destiny is kind of set out. So because it's an action shooter, it's not like a turn based, or it's not kind of a old school MMO RPG.
Yeah.
Because it's an action shooter, you can't have 100 people running around trying to snipe and take accurate skill based shots at each other, because it just network wise we're not at that stage yet. That it kind of works. So when you're at your social hubs like the Halberd, you'll be there and you'll be able to walk around and meet and chat with people in a larger scale. But then from there you'll jump out and again you can do it solo. But then if you want to do some cooperative missions, you jump out and you go into kind of instances where we'll be able to carry out those missions and as a group. And then PvP, there is larger scale that we'll get up to. I think where I don't really want to say what number we're aiming at yet, because it's it come down a lot to I guess optimization of
Yeah.
what we can achieve and get the best kind of gameplay experience. Because again, that's what comes first and foremost, right? And it's the gameplay experience there.
Sounds good. I mean, what more could we be most excited about? But then, a bunch of starfighters or mechs like in space, maybe a 10v10 happening like all at the same time. I mean, maybe, in the near future, we are going to be seeing a lot of, multiplayer footage coming out, especially, that, Phantom Galaxies is slowly inching towards, full release. Like we're at episode 4 right now, if I'm not mistaken, that just released very recently, right? So Ben, I mean, what could we expect from, from these, from the storyline of Phantom Galaxies? Like, how does it unfold?
I mean, like, I don't want to give away anything. That's what
Oh, but you have to, Ben. That's why. That's why we've been fighting to get you on board, so we can get that. We can pry that juicy alpha from you.
Yeah, no, I mean story wise, there's a lot to unfold, right? So we've planned out at least for the next couple of years on that kind of broad story arc for that part. But we also have a lot of side content, so we'll always be creating new kind of content in that regards too. But over the last 3 years, the amount of lore that's being created is extensive. We have so many different areas, and so we can kind of decide to take the story off track and follow other characters as well as part of that. And a lot of that we will create. I mean, this game is you might have heard the term before, game as a service, and that's where we'll actually be working with the community as well and seeing what they're enjoying the most, to see okay, like what do people actually want to find out outside of that main story arc where it involves the Shahar and Shikari and the Space Rangers, and the pirates as well. So but then alongside, to help with that storytelling, not just the game, but I think we've hinted at before in the Discord, but we have a whole comic series that's being created. I mean, that comic
Nice.
series happens kind of more at the start of the story, so it's more storytelling to flesh out and let players know more about what why the world exists and where it came from. But then we've got this two episodes of anime that there's some PG Phantom Galaxies anime that's in development right now that we announced it on Discord last week, I think, but we will be at the Tokyo Game Show next week. So
Nice.
we're actually at the stands on YGG Japan. So the YGG Japan booth. So that's a big kind of partnership going on there. So we'll have a kiosk there, but we've got a special little kind of teaser for one of those animes that we're going to be able to we're getting ready to kind of show at the show or release at the show. So that'll be nice, and I think people will be really excited by that aspect too. And of course, like we've done with all our kind of Origin NFTs, the posters and stuff, is comics. We're a blockchain game. They're going to be available and integrated in as NFTs, and the anime as well will be able to kind of integrate that and have some kind of the players to have some private viewing within the game for people with the special holding special NFTs, and that's just something that's fun, and that's what we're about here. We're about trying to make something that's really fun and give our especially our very early supporters that kind of really kind of cool there's features that you don't see in other games.
For sure.
Just a quick one because you've mentioned anime there, and I know that like a lot of people in the community are big anime fans, and I'm a well have been a big anime fan. I'm sure Sedano has been as well. Apart, you've obviously mentioned a couple of animes there. Are there any kind of other animes that kind of stand out to you as like kind of very a big influence, or but just particular ones that you really like?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I think it's the influence of Phantom Galaxies. These are I don't know if you call these. They were animes, but the original Robotech series I think was one that was really big. I guess cartoons more for Gen One. Transformers was also very big, but more recently, I guess in the last 10 or 20 years, it's kind of flown. But tons of other animes. With Evangelion. There wasn't. There's just been a few that actually like smaller ones that have really stood out to me and kind of impacted me and in the kind of style that they've achieved. So I think it's just the it's while the style is always kind of there is a style there, but there's something out there that are just different and they can differentiate themselves. And even now with our animes, we've got two groups of artists which have very distinct styles, and we're creating content with both of them just because we really love both styles, but they have different kind of strengths and in their storytelling, which is going to be I think really exciting to show as well.
Awesome.
I mean, so Ben, one thing that we'd love to get to know about you guys is how does the team actually work? Like, how many of you guys are are on the desk like working on the project? Like, how many departments like do you guys have? How is it segregated? And just more of the dynamic of how the Blowfish Studios team works behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, it's in good question. So I think, as you know, we are working on a couple of multiple projects with Phantom Galaxy as our largest project. So in Australia, we have like 100 people at the moment, but then globally, we've got about just close to 140 people working full time on the different projects. Phantom Galaxies, we have a bit over 60 people right now working on it full time, and what we're saying there with the departments, right? You asked there. We have a full writing narrative team. So we've got a writing team that's doing that content. Even when we say content, it's not just content for the game and missions and things like that, but you've seen the short kind of the stories we've shared on social media and in the Discord, but all the NFTs and the descriptions in those, like that's all comes from the writing team too. So there's a lot of work there for that. A full QA team that's there that's testing. You need a lot of quality assurance, a lot of testing there for every kind of release we do. And while we do our best to capture everything, it's also awesome to have like our full our community there and through our Discord giving us feedback and bug reports as well. So we call our community, I guess, another another department there. But that's always really special and much needed. You've got production, so we've got producers that are there to look after and all the departments, but also figure out everything that's needed or help figure out everything that's needed and organizing all the departments together and just keeping things on track, keeping people unblocked. For a lot of with all the different departments, some rely on other departments to do something before they can move on to their part. For example, programming will need design to complete some designs before they can go in and kind of start designing their part or implementing it. We've got programming. From a programming side, though, you've got backend. You've got your server programming that's running the multiplayer servers. You've got the blockchain development, which writing all the smart contracts and the blockchain code. We've got backend web developers, which are doing the backend for the website. You've got front end web developers, which are doing the front end for the website. And we've got Unreal developers, which are actually just again developing all the actual game code and game client for the Unreal Engine and the Unreal Engine based game. And then we've got our platform engineers, which are busy figuring out the best way to set up our infrastructure for spinning up the servers and that's kind of running everything. Even just for the launcher and the patching, that's all got to be kept kind of designed and flowing and moving smoothly. So when we say programming engineering, there's quite a lot of different skill sets there. And then you go into art. So art, we've got 2D concept artists. We have 2D storyboarders even for the cinematics. And you've got your 3D, you've got your modelers, you've got your surfaces, which are doing the textures and the shaders. You've got animators, which are doing the rigging and then doing all the animation. So the art department is there's lots of different skill sets there. We've got art direction and going on there, and lighting. So, there's so many different specialties when it comes to art as well. And then we've got just for running the studio, you've got your administration, so you got your HR and finance, and that you need them, right? They've got to be there, otherwise your studio will essentially fall apart. You can't have that. And marketing. So in Blowfish, we have marketing, which kind of looks after it's marketing, PR, and community as well. So we've got you've been speaking to Luke, lead community manager. So we've got community managers. We've got Lockie, who's our product marketer, who looks after Phantom Galaxies. We've got Ash, who's the marketing director, but also managing them all. And then we've got Sasha, who's social media. So we've got again just Forrest, who actually looks after the Discord. So we've got again just in marketing, there's all these different kind of specific roles. And so when when you're looking at something like Phantom Galaxies, it's a huge game that just keeps going. And audio, so we've got like an audio designer that goes through and has to figure out all the different sound effects, and then we have to build them and get them in. And design. I don't think I mentioned game design. So we've got level designers, game designers, system designers. I don't know. I've probably been speaking about this too long, but it's important because I think a lot of people don't realize how many people you need to make a game, and it truly is a lot of people and all working together, because it's impossible for one person to make a game of this scale at least. And when you have people working together, it's one thing. It's challenging, but it's also extremely rewarding as well. So yeah. Sorry if I missed out any other people there. As you can see, went through as many as I could. I think I got most people.
Yeah, no worries, man. But it really comes to show, that the product speaks for itself. From the previous versions that I have personally played, like you definitely see the difference. The game's a lot more smooth. It's very buttery. The requirements, I see that it's very much optimized. Then compared to the previous episodes, and like we can just anticipate and we can expect like what more will be coming out like in the very near future. But then how about you, Sarutobi? How did you find the previous episodes? Were you able to play any of them?
Oh yeah, I think I haven't been able to play as much as I wanted to. I think I definitely finished the first one. I think I may have missed out some of the second one, and I've been playing. I think the most up to date is the current one 4. Oh yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to do that. I'm a proud Planet owner as well, so I'm really excited to find out about Astrophyte Rush.
Astrophyte Rush, yeah.
Astrophyte Rush, and hear a little bit about that, and because that's coming pretty soon, right, Ben?
Yes, yes. I mean, we have had delays. We had delays on Astrophyte Rush. We were very open and transparent about what we're doing here, and I don't know if we said too much about what the delay was from, but essentially, we're in this while this new frontier of blockchain gaming, and so what kind of happened is we got some legal advice, which means we had to change the format of the Astrophyte Rush event, and it just happened to be over kind of series of events that it only kind of came up right before we were really keen and ready to launch, and then it's like, no, you didn't tell us about this one thing, and so now you have to change it. So yeah, I mean, part of it was because of the desk listing of the token. When we were first designing the event, the token wasn't listed yet on a DEX, and as traditional gamers, we're concentrating on the game and designing all that out and making it as amazing as possible. But then you kind of lose sight sometimes of that other aspect of blockchain gaming, which means you've got to just meet all the different the lack of regulations, which means that there's more risk there because there's less rules to follow. But you've just got to be still be careful in what you're doing. So we've just had to reformat the event, and they're working on just doing those. Yeah, it required a change to the website because we're obviously developing a whole kind of front end on the website that the event will run through, and then all the smart contracts on the back end. But we're looking, we're hopeful still for this month, and our community team will keep everyone updated. But yeah.
Exciting stuff, exciting stuff. Definitely keen to see the developments that happen there. Obviously, like you're speaking about some of the technical side of things. I know that obviously with Phantom Galaxies, you guys have gone for Polygon to start with on the blockchain side of things. I would love to kind of hear a little bit about like what made you choose Polygon, and I think from my understanding, you're also aiming to become multi-chain eventually. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit of your thoughts around that piece.
Yeah. I mean, for Polygon, at the time it was, could not launch on Ethereum Layer 1 just for the gas costs and how it was there. It's just not somewhere where you can launch a game. We spoke to many different kind of blockchains to about what to launch on. For us, Polygon had the best kind of combination in that it's EVM based, so we could still use Solidity developers, and we had that kind of experience there with the EVM programming. And then on the other side, OpenSea was the major marketplace at the time, and it was kind of it only supported either Ethereum or Polygon. So that was the other choice there. In that, we wanted to be where the biggest number of people were as well, and so we didn't need any kind of to utilize any of the funds that the different blockchain providers or platforms were providing. So again, not having to worry about that and more concentrate on what technology partner gives us the best experience for the game. That and look, Polygon, it wasn't perfect, and it's not perfect, but it was still the number one kind of fit for us then. Still, with our complete design for the game, yes, it is designed to be multi-chain, and so not for launch, but hopefully not too much after that, we'll be able to start supporting different blockchains in that kind of cross-chain format. So I mean, I think that's really exciting, and we are able to do that because again, we've been making games now as a studio for 12 years. We've been making online multiplayer games for like 8 years or even longer, like 10 years, right? So we've been building up our backend services over the last 10 years, and part of that is one of our early games, Gunscape. It had user-generated content and real-time multiplayer, and we released that in 2014, and it was approved and supported full kind of multi-platform multiplayer. So and that was across consoles and PC. and that was really powerful, and that was really kind of cool at the time. And because we have that experience and that good kind of good base to actually go to multi-chain, yes, it's different and different challenges, and we have to go and create a bit more of the technical back end and tools to be able to handle it. But yeah, we think it's just something that we need to do, not something that's going to be impossible or ultimately too difficult. Just that we need the time and we need to put things in place first.
Fantastic.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around this quest right here that's happening on screen. So I'm trying to look for this box that everyone in the chat's trying to help me out with. But I mean, yeah, dude, like so totally. I really see where you're getting at here. So I mean, you want the game to be as accessible to as many people for sure, and we have Polygon for that. But then in the coming months, maybe in the coming releases, like what else can we expect to be released as NFTs? Like, are the mechs gonna be NFTs? Are upgrades gonna be NFTs? Because right now we have the planets, we have the land, we have the asteroids. That's actually on sale right now and in the open market. But yeah, I mean, what can we expect in the very near future? I mean, because I'd love to have definitely like a mech NFT that I could put on like my Apple Watch or whatnot, and just
Yeah,
flex
yeah.
around and tell people about Phantom Galaxies.
No, so yeah, so first up are the generative starfighters and the avatars which are coming. Like you're saying, what will be ultimately um, just about everything in the game, all the items and gear that you'll be able to get will be NFTs. So sure, there might be it's kind of like any kind of game that you're kind of used to playing. You're gonna get your kind of gamut of pretty standard and common gear all the way up to your truly unique and rare gear, and that's where we know people love showing off the really cool stuff that they've been able to achieve in game. Um, and I think for what we said in the light paper as well, with the starfighters and avatars, yes, they are generative, but as you level up and progress, you will be able to influence the appearance and the kind of the makeup of those NFTs as well. And so while within the game, you'll be able to do your different loadouts and kind of change the cosmetics within the game, those kind of modifications of your player in the game aren't going to impact your NFTs. So we're very mindful of the fact that we've got your traditional kind of game space where you're used to being able to modify your player character and your starfighter in the game, but then your NFTs, which are going to be a bit more they're limited. So what it is that, and that's what we've said, we've had that kind of that starfighter fusion process, which occurs when you kind of level up your starfighter. So when you do that, you're actually going to be modifying your NFT as well. And so that's where your NFT will be able to be publicly visible, as in as you can take one of those really rare pieces you found and actually integrate it into your starfighter. So you'll be able to build a truly also unique NFT that has rarity built into it as too. Um, and so that's, I think it's it's just kind of mind blowing that people keep saying like, why do you need blockchain to do this in games? Like, you don't. But what we're doing is just making something that's bigger and better than the components within. And I think people still can't really get their heads around what that looks like, but that's because they don't have a game yet that's gone and done it. So that's where where you definitely want to be one of the first people to be able to do that. Where people, like I said, this game doesn't exist for traditional game players.
Yeah.
So they don't have a a multiplayer mech transferring mecha game that they can action RPG that they can get in there and play and level up. So we're gonna have traditional gamers that are gonna come just for the game because it's an amazing game and they don't have it anywhere else. I think that's the kind of thing we want to keep reminding people. It's like, yes, we are a blockchain game, but we are unique in that what we've designed and what we're building does not exist both either as a blockchain game or as a traditional game. And if we can pull off what we're trying to do with our designs and everything, which we've got the team, we've got the people, and we're going down that path. I think people are really going to have that moment where they see, right, no, this is what kind of blockchain gaming is about. And so I'm just really excited for that.
Absolutely. I mean, what's going to be the big challenge there is obviously you've got these traditional gamers that are going to want to come in, they're going to want to play. You obviously want to make the onboarding process for those
Yes.
guys like pretty seamless, and you want like obviously like because there's this kind of economy component. There's different there's different modes of the game. You've got this PvE section, you've got the PvP section. I think the PvP section is going to be really, really exciting for a lot of people. They're going to want to like fight other people, obviously. I mean, I for one do love PvE experiences, and I think that is a big driver and would actually drive me to want to get Phantom Galaxies anyway. But I think what's really interesting is you want to kind of, on one hand, you want to make the onboarding experience so seamless that Web2 gamers can just start playing the game. But on the other hand, you also want to try and have them perform some sort of like value additive function within the game economy. What's your thoughts on like kind of on doing that? Do you think you're going to be able to quite easily, like at the end of the day, like I suppose there's free to play. Maybe you can offer them free to play. Maybe they can buy skins. How do you kind of see these kind of mechanism of these to get the Web2 players being valuable for the blockchain economy side?
Yeah. No, I mean, from the start, what we've said is, the game itself, if you look at it from a traditional sense, will be priced, and even from the blockchain sense, like priced at a similar price to what a AAA game is. And the way we're doing that is, for NFTs, what you need to play the game is a Starfighter and Avatar. So if we're just saying, for the common Starfighters and Avatars, that they're priced at like $30 each, we start, base and level 1, you level up from. And then this is, these are the standard common ones, not these Origin collection that we're building and releasing now. But so is a Web2 player comes in, they bought the game, and then that's what they have. But they're not NFTs to them. It's just the game, and it's these characters they've got. But our server and everything is tracking it like they're NFTs. So they get in there, they get to play the game, and like everyone else, it's the economy is built around being able to play the game and progress through it just by getting there and playing. And you'll be rewarded in the different cryptocurrencies and the resources, which are going to be tracked as ERC20s as well. But you'll be able to play them, and you'll be in our space, we're saying we call it like play and earn or play to earn. But in a gaming space, it's just I'm playing it and I'm getting my virtual currency, which I'm going to spend in the game. So there's not really that much of a difference. It's just that in blockchain gaming, it has a different kind of connotation as well. So in traditional gaming sense, they're able to buy the game, start playing, start spending the earnings in the game, and just progressing through the game because it's a really fun and fantastic game. We will offer that kind of in-app purchase the same way that any AAA game these days offers in-app purchase to their players, and that's done in fiat, but they're still buying items, they're still buying virtual currency. There's in effect no difference really to them if we present it in the same way as what a traditional game is presented, which is that's our goal, and there's no reason not to, because we're making in all essence like a traditional game if you look at it that way.
Absolutely, really interesting. I think that's a big. I think if whoever can get that right, the idea of like you attracting Web2 gamers, they're paying fiat, maybe they're using whatever payment method they're using, but to have that become something that's valuable for the greater economy, will be amazing and arguably really, really sustainable. So yeah, thanks so much for your answer there, SEDANO.
Yeah, I mean, I just blew up, but I couldn't agree more. So, I mean, I definitely, I definitely would want to see like more games that are focused on, having a fun project that people would play, regardless, whether it's, if it's a blockchain game or not. But then, we are moving forward into, definitely a new era of gaming, and I think, the pandemic has accelerated that a bit, but then we are slowly seeing all these games coming up like Phantom Galaxies that have a blockchain component but don't necessarily sell itself as as upfront as a blockchain game, an NFT game, and whatnot. But we are using the technology as tools to give not only the players but also the developers a profitable economy, or a self-sustaining economy that everyone can enjoy. And I think like this is the way to go, if we want to see more games like last a very long time. Because imagine having, let's say, having an asteroid, having a ship, or having a mech that actually has value in it, that we just have there in our wallet sitting there, and we can play it anytime, and maybe like 5, 10, 15 years from now pop it up, and then I own it, like even regardless. Let's say like we have another game that comes out and also have intercompatibility. And so my question here is like, how do you see, Ben, Phantom Galaxies expanding into other games? Or are you guys also working on other projects where the NFTs in Phantom Galaxies have some sort of playability or use for other projects?
I mean, yeah, you brought up a couple of things there. I want to kind of rewind back a little bit to one thing you said there, and still to be clear that Phantom Galaxies is, wholeheartedly a blockchain game, right? That this is where we started, and that's what we're building. But again, what we're building is trying to embrace and encompass both the traditional side and the blockchain gaming side. And then, like you were saying, hasn't games haven't succeeded at that, at doing that yet, and that's why the strategy that we're taking is aimed at doing that, and being a fully successful traditional game. But then also, that traditional gamers, they're not going to come in, they're not going to buy planets, right? They don't they won't necessarily know about them until they get a lot further into the game, and then think, oh, hang on, these guilds, they've got planets. And well, maybe they will hit that pretty quickly, and they go, oh, hang on, look, I do, I want a planet. And it's like, and that's kind of the intro to that kind of the crypto space. And then they're going to go like, where do I find one? How do I buy one?
Yeah.
And then we show them, and they go, ah, oh, damn, but I don't want to buy an NFT, but I really want a planet. so I think that's it's kind of a really kind of good intro and strong way to bring that in. And if they don't want to, that's fine. They don't do it, and because you don't need it to play and have fun in the game. And that's why Phantom Galaxies has that that strength there, and being really appealing to traditional game players, and that they will have an amazing game that they just want to play. Now, sorry, going back forwards to what was the final question you were asking about? The what was the question again, Ed?
So sorry. Yeah, I mean, I might have blabbled there a bit, but I mean, so like the general idea is, like I wanted to ask you is like, what can like, let's say for the community members of YGG, like, now we want to participate in the community. Like, what are the baby steps, or how do we get our feet wet in the Phantom Galaxies community and ecosystem?
Yeah. I mean, right now with the episode four's out, so that's the 4 episodes of the alpha out. We have the Astrophyte Rush event coming up very soon, and so to really participate in all this, your community, that just needs to have one of the posters, one of the Origin collection, which are out there right now. There, I think actually on OpenSea now, you can actually get them for $5 or less, or something like that. So
Yeah.
that gets your ticket in, and in the Astrophyte Rush event, you'll be able to earn some Astrophyte token. So it's you'll definitely you'll be able to get back that cost there. But that's the best way to get in there and start one and the game, and then also really seeing what we're talking about, and become part of it, part of the community. And the great thing now is that we do take a lot of feedback from the community. So I think becoming part of the community is your way of, on your community's way of really helping to shape what Phantom Galaxies is, and what blockchain gaming will be in the near future. So I think that's really important. And as I don't know, as people, early supporters would have seen, as you get in there, we're building something out. And so by having access, by playing, you're able to claim other NFTs. So you can claim your episode medal badges and getting other posters. And yeah, I mean, now you have to come in and kind of play out all 4 episodes and be able to get through that and accrue them all. But that's how you get access to your first generative starfighters and avatars by collecting all the 4 different episode NFTs and the medal ones. And that's why at the end you'll be able to get those kind of first generative avatars and very limited edition. We're making sure they look ultra special so that people will know in the game that you're one of the OG kind of players and supporters and community members. And that I think that's really important to us too. And I mean, there'll be more details released about those over the next couple of months. But yeah, we're getting close to being able to show some really cool kind of imagery. I think Yat is doing a presentation later this week, and we're sending him some new kind of images that hopefully he'll be able to show. But yeah, you have to go watch his talk to get a sneak peek there. But yeah, go grab one of the posters and get in there, play the alpha, and get ready for the Astrophyte Rush event. Then you'll be able to get in there and have some Astrophyte, which will then will have utility because you'll be able to mint even more posters and more comics and more NFTs with Astrophyte as well. Because that is that's our governance utility token for Phantom Galaxies.
Awesome, sounds good.
Absolutely. So there is going to be the need for like players to have the starfighter and an avatar to be able to participate. Is that correct?
In the full game, yes. But I think as one of the things with guilds, and then there is guild systems there where guilds might be able to if you've got players that don't have access to those, then you be able to rent them out, or I guess give them out to your players as well. So but yeah, you will do that. And I think I made a question there earlier about free to play. Like, we haven't decided on it yet, but Phantom Galaxies might also be able to kind of have those there and kind of rent them out to players. So that there's that kind of, it's not a free to play game, but you can do it in that way, and that you're giving free access to these beginner kind of avatars and starfighters.
Absolutely. I know that we've got a couple of community questions here. I think we have one here at the top, which is, how does the Phantom Galaxies guild system work, if there is going to be one?
Yeah, so we've got a massive kind of guild system in that. I've always had this kind of passion for wanting to be able to see actual player-driven governance inside games, and this was also one of the really strong reasons why I thought blockchain gaming was perfect for it too, because when you have your governance tokens and you've got NFTs and you've got DAOs essentially in the game, and you have land and property, right? So in Phantom Galaxies, you have planets, and essentially a guild, or they're calling organizations inside Phantom Galaxies. You have one organization which can own one or many planets and one or many NFTs, but then land and buildings and also a community. But then the really cool thing is that having different governance models within the game. So you'll have a founder or a set of founders that kind of start the organization, and then you can set up what kind of organization that is. And that might be, it might be a DAO where everybody is a member and has voting rights based on how much governance token they hold and have staked, say, or put into the organization. You might just have a privately held one where someone has bought everything and started the organization, and now just runs it as their own, but has members and kind of again gives out different kind of incentives and rewards to the members. And you could just have a social one where you think, all right, this group of friends, and I guess that's going to probably more run like a round table, and it doesn't really matter how much of the government token each one's got. We're just friends, and we kind of just running our guild and organization together. And then you can have democracies where everyone gets to vote. You might have like a board of kind of directors, and all your members get to vote based on how much token they have. And and again, you can putting all these tools will all go into the game. And so I think it's going to be, one thing is really exciting to see the different organizations that spring up, and if they all end up being run the same way, or that people get to, they'll run them different ways, and then what happens? Like, it's like a bit of a social experiment, right? When we open up that kind of organization or guild PvP warfare, it's like, which one's going to do better, or which one's going to completely implode because they can't manage to make a decision and do something, and so they get wiped out while they're kind of like squabbling over internally or something like that. I think that I think I just think that's pretty fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there.
Good stuff, man. Like I personally am most excited about PvP and competitive gaming in the Web3 space. Because now we have guilds that actually are composed of not only the most active, but thousands and thousands of a very committed gamers like throughout the world. And I think we are yet to see that kind of competitive showcase. And moving forward, I would definitely would I'd be excited to see Phantom Galaxies to be on top of that, because like not only that you guys are doing something very unique, but the platform that you guys provide is something that would be something really really good to watch. Yeah, I could imagine people like on Twitch like or on YouTube streaming and playing, and it's something that if I hop on, it's my first time hearing about Phantom Galaxies. Like I see the game, how smooth it is, like all these mechs transforming, like battling it out in space. There is a hook that can definitely get everyone like right into the game as soon as possible. But I mean, yeah. So speaking of the full game, Ben. So with what you can share with us, like what can we expect from the full release? Like what does Phantom Galaxies basically full release look like?
I mean, full release is large, but I mean, from a general sense, um, you know, we have the different section is you have your starfighters and your avatars and their life, kind of the life that they will live, and you're leveling up. You've got your gear system where that's what you're doing from a in kind of that PVE instance where you're going out there and fighting for the gear. Then there's the PvP, the arena kind of that we were talking about earlier, and that will be leaderboard driven. So essentially, people will be able to get in there, and you'll have your guild, and so you'll have your status and you have your players, and you'll see kind of who's at the top on the leaderboard, and even having team based events as well. But that's kind of a arena PvP. And then we have like the guild PvP, which is what we've said is like rogue planets. So essentially, we've reserved some planets which will place into the world in that Fan Galaxies owns them, but players and organizations can essentially fight over those, and whoever then, excuse me, so has control can like essentially take and kind of make use of those and the rewards there. And some of those rewards will just be like the Astrophyte token, but we also plan on doing things like having ultra special kind of like crafting or smithing, manufacturing plants on different worlds as well, because organizations will be able to build that on their planets too. And so one thing that you'll see in our gear system in that we're releasing is that you'll have what are called manufacturers, and they'll have a specific kind of look or slant or theming to the items that are produced. And this is where we kind of get into all that user generated content, in that guilds will be able to be manufacturers. And so that we want guilds to be able to make a name for themselves too, with the crafting and manufacturing of items. You got to find blueprints, you got to find all the resources, but then the stuff that you're crafting and manufacturing will be able to be special for that guild. And so you'll get the aim is that you'll have people coming from all over the galaxies to come to your planet, to essentially be able to buy the special kind of gear that you've been able to make. Yeah, that's another element to the game as well. And that even goes down to the starfighters, where you'll be able to manufacture. Again, we're talking in the future about having themed or guild specific base frames, which will then make your starfighters you're producing different to anything that you've seen out there before, which I think is pretty cool. And as a traditional kind of game as a service, we're definitely not saying when, but having different playable playable races potentially in the future being released again, because we're just going to keep building content for the game. And I think we're kind of really excited by that as well. There's challenges there, writing it all into the lore. And yeah, sorry, that's what I was going to bring up earlier. It was about collaboration. So we are looking at doing partnerships. You were asking about interoperability from, actually that's what it was,
Yeah, there you
interoperability
go.
for PG into other games. What we're focusing on first is interoperability of other games into PG. So we won't say anything yet, but we're looking at bringing, if you have other NFTs from other projects and bring that in, then what impact does that have on your Starfighters Avatars in the leveling up process? And again, be able to, and so I think that's going to be really cool. So you'll get customization through other NFTs you've got. But yeah, and I think the world is just kind of open. It's all a lot of work. We have to create a lot of content and assets to do all this, but it's something that and just being totally transparent here. That's something we have sitting there. That idea is like, I mean, I can say like we haven't done it yet, but Animoca is a very good partner with Bored Apes, right? So we have that kind of goalpost there. It's like, what does a Bored Ape look like in PG in Phantom Galaxies? And that's a tough thing to do, but if we can get that, then that, I think, it's just an example, right? If we can achieve that, and then we know, all right, what does another project look like in Phantom Galaxies as well? I think part of Web3 is the fact that we all take part in many different projects, and so we don't just like just one project. We like tons of different brands, even in the real space, traditional space. You don't just like one brand. You like lots of brands. So if we can have a game where they all come together and we do it in a special way, I mean that's our goal. That's one of our goals there. So it'd be really cool.
That's pretty incredible. I'm seeing the Phantom Galaxies team being quite active in the Discord chat there, and Luke has come up with a question that I had been thinking about already myself as well, which is I'm hearing this a lot. It's a really big trend at the moment. Is obviously esports. We're seeing the growing popularity of esports in the traditional gaming space, but also obviously within the blockchain gaming space. I think there's a lot of talk about how esports is going to be revolutionized by the ownership economy, by tokenized economies, and by all these different components. I think I had it when we recently did an AMA with the Phantom Galaxies community, myself, SEDANO, and Luke, and there's so many amazing ideas about what the competitive side could look like within Phantom Galaxies. But do you envisage that the PvP, the competitive aspect of Phantom Galaxies is esport? It will be appropriate for esports?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the team is really keen on that, right? I mean, the team is kind of a little bit disappointed that they've been working really hard on that that arena aspect, but we need to take baby steps right now because there's a lot going on. But no, 100%, the plan is there that there's certain sections or parts of the game, not all parts of it, obviously, but yeah, like the arena for one, and then hopefully part of the guild warfare too, will be set up completely to kind of appeal in that way.
Nice. It's going to be super exciting. Like I said on the last AMA that we did, we just envisaged this idea of you're watching a screen, you're seeing these fighters go into battle with each other, and you've got the pictures of everyone's face, and slowly but surely you see they're behind me, just blowing up one by one, and until you only have a couple of people left. It's a really exciting thing to think about. I'm a big sci-fi fan, Star Wars fan. You can imagine that kind of that kind of facial expressions of those people as they get no, the kind of that experience.
Yeah, I mean,
of just being, yeah.
I mean, we play lots of traditional games, right, and esports there, and so we know what it feels like, and we know what it is, and so I think it's definitely something that we feel like that will be be a big part of Phantom Galaxies.
Definitely. I mean, not to add, I could imagine, the physical events, how these activations would look like. I mean, being in an arena, being in a stadium, and I mean, it's gonna be crazy, man. The possibilities are endless. But yeah, I mean, we are at the top of the hour, but yeah, just before we go, we'd like to touch up on just a few more questions. So actually, Sasha from the Blowfish Studios team is asking, He had a question here. Where's that? Although let's do Blacksil first. So, what's your approach for gaming markets like South America and Asia in the next few months?
In the next few, I mean, what's our approach? Uh, I think right now to get in there and get to get involved with Astrophyte Rush, I think it's the gateway to really the rest of the game, and so um, I think we're looking at doing a few partnerships with Influence to kind of get build up the exposure and get build up the community to getting in there. Working with guilds like yourselves, like YGG, is ultra important. And I think so. We're really looking to bring people in all aspects there. And as we release the final details of the Astrophyte Rush event, we think that will be that'll make it a bit clearer for people, and how and why to get involved right now. So I think that's kind of we're looking at that way. Um, where I think I mean, like you said, we've been optimizing the game. We realized that the hardware that's needed to kind of run the game is, it was fairly beefy when it first came out. It still is, but we are optimizing it down to make it more accessible by many players. So, but please, we always look at that kind of feedback in our Discord as well, for that aspect. Yeah, and I think we've got all the different we've localized the game to many different languages as well, so that also helps with getting more people into from all around the world. Um, yeah, I think like I said, we're going to be at Tokyo Game Show next week with YGG Japan. I mean, this game is just perfect for Japanese culture, and we know Japanese have really embraced NFTs like in a large way, right? That's kind of because the Japanese are when you think of where's the biggest collectible or collectors kind of culture, I think Japan is pretty big on the list of worldwide regions who love collecting, and so that's why I feel like NFTs are doing really well there. And mixing up anime and mechas, transforming mechas with NFTs, I think it's a no brainer.
Sounds good. But yeah, I mean, we definitely would love to see some, like a YGG sub DAO tournament going on. Maybe a Southeast Asia tournament first, to be able to make sure that, we get the best pings and, have a really smooth gameplay. But then eventually, maybe even land tournaments and, I mean, as big as it gets, man. But yeah, so Luke actually was acting. So what are the benefits of minting the early access generative Starfighters and Avatars?
Yeah, I mean, so we haven't released the full details yet of what that is, but the we've always said that for one, the theming and the look and the feel of them, they're not going to be replicated again, in the rest of the series. So the designs that we're making for these limited edition ones are striking, and what that means is in game that you're going to have that clear kind of unique look and feel about it. As the Origin collection, they are going to have some special kind of like traits and things. And altogether, I can't really say too much yet. There's some really cool stuff coming that kind of interplay between starfighters, avatars, and planets. And we've been building the smart contracts for this. We just haven't released any details yet. So I know everyone wants to know, but all I can say is it's going to be something very special. In regards to the world and the game um, and yeah, getting in right now I think is it's crypto blockchain people. Yeah, you're there. You're not traditional. You don't need to be onboarded. So I think just get in there, play the game, enjoy it, and you'll just be able to build up that collection. Um, just keep going.
Awesome, great stuff, man. But yeah, I mean that's it for me. How about you, Sarutobi?
No, I for one am just excited to try and find some time to jump back into the game, play a little bit more. I'm excited for the developments that are going to be happening for Phantom Galaxies for sure. It's great that thanks again to the very dedicated members of the Blowfish Studios and Phantom Galaxies community who've jumped on the stream and are helping out with some great questions there in the chat. Thanks to yourself, Ben, obviously for jumping on as well. You know, I know I speak for many in the community that we're really pumped and excited for Phantom Galaxies. It's great to see a game like, and just exactly like what you said, and it was one of the first thoughts that came into my head when I first saw the footage of Phantom Galaxies. It's like, this is a game that's going to really bring gamers, regardless of if, you know, for the kind of blockchain, because there isn't really a game that I've played like it. It's like a kind of amazingly beautiful. It's like, I think I've said this before. It's like, imagine if Ace Combat and Armored Core got together and had some crazy beautiful baby in space. And you know, there's nothing really like it. So on that side, you know, just thanks for coming on. It's been great chatting about it. We're really excited to jump into this game, and that's the way I feel about it for sure. SEDANO, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so everyone at home, you guys know the drill. Yeah, make sure to follow Phantom Galaxies, follow the Blowfish Studios team, for updates. And yeah, if you guys are anywhere near, TGS, yeah, make sure to drop by, say hi, and yeah, let's figure out, what stuff we could do together. But definitely, more streams, more gameplay, coming up from Phantom Galaxies and YGG. And I see a couple of competitive players actually from other games in YGG ecosystem here in the Discord. But yeah, everyone who dropped by tonight, thank you so much, and shout out to everyone. Continuing to support not only YGG but all the games that we are getting into. But again, you guys, so we'll be seeing you pretty soon. So make sure that's discord.gg/YGG, twitter.com/Yield Guild, and also on Twitch, that's Yield Guild Games, as well as Facebook and YouTube. But again, until next time, we'll see you guys soon. See you guys in the metaverse. Peace.
See ya.
Thanks
Thanks so much.